Alright, it's been a few months since I made my last video, and I know I said a few weeks for test driving a Rivian, but I was finally able to get around to it, and also in the few months time that it's been, I've also been able to experience Rivian R2 and R3X. Now I'll save my thoughts on the R2 and the R3X for a later video, which will be coming out very soon after this video, but let's talk about my experience with R1S Tri. So in order to do a demo drive, you do have to be 21, which I'm not, so I couldn't drive the vehicle myself. So I took my dad along to drive the vehicle, and I sat in the passenger seat, which is the closest experience I can get to driving a Rivian right now. So in order to do the demo drive, you just navigate to Rivian's website, click on the little side menu, you scroll down until you see demo drive, click on that, then you fill out your information, whatever it needs, whatever it wants, your name and email address, who you're gonna be riding with, who you wanna bring along as a passenger or whatever, and then you select the time and your location. So for me, I chose the Boston Rivian space, but for a lot of people it might be a service center or another space in an area near you. Now let's talk about that configuration that we drove, the R1S Tri. As of making this video today, the Tri motor is the most expensive and the best Rivian that they make, the most expensive configuration, triple motor system. So what do you get with the Tri motor configuration? Well, you get 3 motors as expected by Tri, but also you get a lot of interior bumps that make it more luxury feeling than the normal dual motor performance or dual motor R1Ss and R1Ts. So you get more configurations on the inside, whether you want different colors on the inside. You also get more stitching on the seats. Overall, if you're someone who wants to own a luxury car, but you like the Rivians, this is the trim to get because it's nicer on the inside. Now, if I were to go in and rank all the different configurations you can get for a Rivian today, Tri-motor would be at the top. I don't think anyone would ever need a quad motor, and if I'm being honest, it just seems like that's the flexing options. I feel like the quad motor just exists so people can buy it and flex with that. So go for it. If you have $110,000+ burning a hole in your pocket and you want that Rivian quad motor, so you can say my R1T accelerates at 2.5 seconds 0 to 60 versus your Cyber Beast with 2.6 0 to 60, the quad motor just exists so that you can flex and say, I have 4 motors. That beats your triple motor system. And for the people out there who want to say that they own the quickest accelerating electric pickup truck. But for those who just want the best in performance today and are a little bit more realistic, I say realistic loosely because these are still over $100,000 cars, the Tri-motor is where it's at. You get the best in performance and capability and range. The quad motor, from as far as I can tell, will have less range than the Tri-motor because it has an additional motor running constantly, unless you put it in conserve mode, which even then I think you're still going to get less range. The different modes really makes it feel like the car has different personalities. If you put it into sports mode, it's going to lower the suspension, it's going to stiffen up, you're going to feel the road more and feel more feedback, but you're going to drive it like it's a sports car and it's going to feel more sporty. And that was great. Now, I didn't try every single drive mode. I liked adjusting the suspension, and adjusting the suspension was fun because you got to see the car rise up on its own. And it kind of does it in each corner and raises up and then levels out. And it's what you expect. If you have it on the highest suspension, it's going to feel like more of a cushion ride. You're going to be riding on a cloud. Really nice. If you want to feel more feedback from the road, you drop it in the lowest suspension setting. It's going to feel lower. It's going to handle differently. It just makes it feel like it has a different personality. And so for that, it's great. Now, one thing I should mention is the suspension. A lot of people complained about the R1S suspension in the Gen 1s and said that there was a lot of issues with driving dynamics and the way that it would drive with the suspension, but Rivian has actually fixed a lot of those things in the Gen 2 and people love it. You see, the R1T and the R1S, while they're basically the same vehicle and they share the same platform and the same skateboard architecture, they do have different wheelbases, so they're gonna drive differently. And if you put one suspension system on an R1T and it works great, that doesn't mean it's gonna work great on the R1S. And so for the Generation 2 products, which is the one that we drove, they redid the whole suspension system for the R1S. And it's a lot better, I would say. I never experienced the R1S Gen 1 suspension system, but from my experience, it was great. Now I compared its driving dynamics to the Range Rover and the Land Rover Defender that we had driven previously a few weeks earlier, and it was similar, but the R1S just did it in a different way. It felt like a heavier vehicle, don't get me wrong, and you could feel the weight of the battery at the bottom because these are very heavy vehicles with the giant battery packs on the bottom, but it was also more effortless in its acceleration. The vehicle is very adaptable to how you want it to be. And you can go into the specific modes and customize how you want the suspension to be, because not everyone's gonna want the suspension to be in the lowest setting all the time. So if you drive sport, but you want it just a little bit higher than the lowest setting, you can adjust that. Another thing that my dad commented on was the regenerative braking. The Rivians are really sensitive with the regenerative braking, and we had it at the highest setting for most of the drive, and it was very sensitive. You let off the gas, the accelerator, and you would immediately slow down. You did not have to press the brakes at all. I don't even think you touched the brakes at all. So, conclusion time. Would I, if I had $80,000, $90,000, $100,000, buy a Rivian today? Yes, after driving one and experiencing how it is, absolutely. I like the design already. Getting into one completely solidified the idea in my mind. However, I don't think I would buy the tri-motor. I don't think I'd buy the quad motor. My dream Rivian configuration as of right now that's realistic would be the dual motor performance. I don't need any more performance than that, and it has all the available drive modes to it. And fast 0 to 60 time makes it fun to drive, and you get the best of Rivian. You get the software experience. You get the a little bit interesting, questionable autonomy services. So for me, my dream configuration for a Rivian right now would probably be a dual motor performance. That's more realistic, just in price and capability. Me personally, I don't need triple motors. I don't need 4 motors. I'm not gonna be going off-roading frequently in this vehicle, and if I did, 2 motors is perfectly enough. As long as it's all-wheel drive capable, and hey, it's the performance version, it's gonna have a quick 0 to 60, I'm happy. So thank you to Rivian and the Boston space for letting me take the vehicle out. This is not sponsored, obviously, but still grateful they just gave me the vehicle to use for 30 minutes. Get subscribed to see my thoughts on the R2 and R3X, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.